Hello, everyone. Let's see if we can see each other better. Okay. We're on chapter 25, and I hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving. I'm puppy sitting, so I have two cats and my son's dog, Bo. And the cats were crazy, like, oh no, I can't stand them. They couldn't stand to have them, and now they seem pretty. They're have adapted a little bit to having them in the house. They're still not like, oh, we like the dog, but they're a little bit more curious about them. So, anyway, here we go. Chapter 25. Abraham marries, has descendants, and dies, and is buried in the cave of Machpelah. His descendants through Ishmael are listed. Rebekah conceives, and Jacob and Esau struggle in her womb. The Lord reveals their destiny to Rebekah. Esau sells his birthright for a mess of porridge. Verse 1. Then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. So we see that Abraham really does have more seed than only through Isaac and Ishmael, right? And she bare him Zimron and Jokshan and Medan and Midian and Ishbak and Shah. And Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asherim and Letzasim and Luminmin.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
I didn't think it sounded like I said her name. But anyway, verse 4. That's Alexa. I don't want to say it too much because she'll talk back. 4. And the sons of Median, Ephah and Epher and Hanok and Abida, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. So it says concubines. Now, it doesn't say that his new wife is a concubine. So apparently he has concubines. And so you think, what are concubines for? Maybe you know what concubines for. You have an idea, but what are concubines for? You know, is it polygamy? Or is it polygamy? I don't know what you call it. What is a concubine? If it's not polygamy, if it's more than one wife, if you can have them, because what's the reason you can have them? Really poor, because he has all these sons, but he's got concubines. I don't know, what are they for? And then he can just send them away when he's tired of them, or I mean, what are the concubines for? Were they between the wife? Or because he just sends their kids away with gifts, which I guess they have reached adulthood, whatever that might be. Or that would be hard to have a dad that sends you away and says, bye, you guys. See you later. I'm going to deal with Isaac right now. You know, it's like, think about that in today's age where a child's dad just says, well, it's time for you to go now, and here's some gifts. Do they write them for Christmas or Thanksgiving? I know they don't have it then, but whatever holidays, feasts that they're having, do they write each other, send word? Does he still come to their weddings? Do they still show up at Isaac's weddings? Or, I mean, it's like being abandoned by your dad. You know, that's, today we would go, that's terrible. But is it okay because it's from Abraham? So if he doesn't want to be a dad, why is he having all these sons, right? All these kids through all these concubines. Or maybe he does. Maybe they're still related. They say my dad's Abraham. You know what I mean? I mean, what's going on here? I'm just asking questions because, today that would be rough. But I'm going to go on, you know. Anyway, that would be really hard, And I'm a mom, if this is his wife and these are his grandkids and his kids, and he's like, bye, and she's just like, okay, I'm stuck with him, or does she go with her sons? Because she's going to miss them a lot and their grandkids, or do they come to visit? Because there's a lot missing. So do they actually come to visit and they're just married, so they move on to their lands? And but he's got to stick with Isaac and everything because he's the birthright child. So he's got to say, okay, you got to stay close because you're the birthright child. They're to get gifts, but you're to get land, and this is the land I live on. And is it because the other wife isn't his religion either? Maybe she's just like Hagar. So he took another woman that's like Hagar, or you know what I mean? So she's another wife, but she's like Hagar and not the religion. So, but why take a wife that's not your religion if that's really important to you when you can take someone from your religion? So there's a lot of questions in there. Maybe this isn't completely accurate, or maybe it's, when your kids grow up, you go, okay, go. But Isaac is older than them. So I don't know. I really don't know. So anyway, but Abraham certainly didn't do anything wrong. So it's about the culture or something we don't understand. And for some reason, he's keeping Isaac with him because he's the birthright child. And Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim and Letusam and Lumimim, and the sons of Median, Ephah, Aphor, Hanok, and Abida, Elda, and all these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. And we say he gave all that he had unto Isaac, but it clearly says that he gave them gifts. And so we don't know what gifts that were. It could have been land, it could have been sheep, because he had a lot. He really had a lot, because remember, he had those gold bracelets that he sent to Isaac's wife, that would feed him for 100 years, so he had a lot. So he very well could have said, you're the birthright child, and typically the birthright child got the most, right? And that was because he took care of everyone else, but he's probably not going to do that here. I don't know, because these sons are probably by a different mom. Well, not probably, but they are, but they're not the birthright. And they may not even be under, they just, I don't know if they're even in the same tribe. But now they are under Abraham. They are in the tribe. And if they chose that, because remember, I don't think Ishmael did. When he left with his mom, and I don't think he had chosen it. But these are just thoughts that go on that we kind of run right over. And Abraham gave all he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward unto the east country. Now see, we thought Abraham was going to die, and so he went and got Isaac a child real fast. But it didn't happen. Instead, the wife passed. But unto the sons of the okay, we read that in verse 7. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he had lived 115 years. Verse 8. And then Abraham gave up the ghost. So verse 8, then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. So it wasn't long, probably, I don't know, since he sent the other sons away, and then he, got them on their way so that Isaac can live his life, maybe so that there's no contention, no jealousy, or fighting over something. He made it clear what's the inheritance. And so many parents don't do that. And there is a huge fight, huge fight. So, huge fight when a parent passes, when a parent doesn't settle those things. So, it looks like he settled those things before he left, and that's another reason for sending them away, is saying, nope, you got to go. I'm, to avoid the contention and fighting and all that happens. So, um, verse 8, then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. Verse 9, and his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mer. So, looks like he got buried with his wife, right? And it says that Ishmael and Isaac, since, one's the birthright and one's the oldest, buried him. And that's, who knows who else was buried there. Maybe, we don't know. Maybe Ishmael's mom, who knows. 2. The field, 10, no, verse 10, the field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth, there was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt in the land of Lahai-Rai. Now, don't assume that Hagar didn't get buried there. It's very well, could be that she may be too old to make the trip to the burial, because she was, I would assume, younger than Abraham and maybe even Sarah, because they were pretty old. So there's a good chance that she was much younger than Sarah. And if she was, there's a great chance that she could have still been alive at the time of his death, but too old to make the trip. So we don't know. But anyway, now these are the generations of Ishmael and Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. Verse 13, and these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn is Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Adbil, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Dama, and Masa. 15, verse 15, Hadar, and Tema, Jatar, Napish, and Kindama. Verse 16, they are the sons of Ishmael, and there are their names, by their towns, by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. So it's interesting because, see, they have loyalty too. And the other thing I wanted to mention, let me go up here. Oh, I was going to mention that some people will say family history is only important because people wanted to know who David was and who was David's lineage, but apparently not, because we've done this 3 times, haven't we? 3 or 4 times they've revealed family history. And so family history must be something important to know, or for some reason that maybe you realize here already, or maybe you'll realize later in the scriptures. But maybe we should have ours. Maybe we should have this on a piece of paper, maybe on your wall, a big piece of paper, and have it about this tall. And I know there's familysearch.org. You can get a free family tree, and I'm not sure they help you work on it. So anyway, that's interesting. But yeah, they obviously, all through this, you continuously hear about family heritage and family history. And okay. Verse 17, and these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people, and they dwell. And when they mean his people, it's his lineage, his posterity, and and I doubt that any of his, but It could be his ancestors are alive. His ancestors above his mom, his grandpa and grandma and great grandma and grandpa through his mom, and there's even possibly cousins that are his people and grandchildren. So it says gathered unto his people, as well as it could mean national group of people. 18, and they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria, and he died in the presence of all his brethren. And that again could mean all of Abraham's sons came to him and said, brother, let's gather here for, brother's about to die. And that's what it could be. Um, and it could mean extended cousins as well. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian, and Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. Verse 22, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And verse 24, and when her days be delivered, to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And so the people go, well, why did she give the birthright to Isaac when Ishmael was the firstborn? But right here it says that the Lord told her to. It says that the elder shall serve the younger brother. And so, he says it right there. And that's not the first time, of course. And what's interesting is they both come from the same mom, but the Lord has decided already that the younger one will be the one that serves, which is interesting. So the Lord knows inside who's going to come out first. So he knows a lot, doesn't he? He sure does. And and verse 25, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And it just, it's interesting because a lot of times people just associate red hair with Ireland, right? Oh, you're Irish, you have red hair. But if you go all through the Middle East, there are people with red hair. There's Turkish people. And, I just invite anyone to watch foreign films because you'll find that there's blonde hair, blue-eyed people from Turkey that are Turkish for generations. And red hair from different cultures, and fair skin and darker skin and dark hair and thick hair and short hair and curly hair and dark skin and the in-betweens. So let's see. Okay. 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old, and she bare them. So, verse 27, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, and a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. So it's just kind of saying that Esau's probably more adventurous, and it sounds like, and Isaac loved Esau, but he did because he did eat of his venison, but also Rebekah loved Jacob. And I don't think that means one or the other. I think they both loved both, but I think there's things that they loved about them. And which it says here, of course, it's like men getting together and um, eating something or hanging out and having a talk. Well, you know, he probably ate his venison and talked about his hunting trips and did all that kind of stuff like that, and his adventures of what he saw and all this stuff like that. And men talk, kind of masculine talk. And Jacob probably, was like, yeah, I'm not Jacob. Isaac and Esau was probably like, yeah, great. And not that he didn't talk with Jacob, but he probably did. But it may not have been about hunting. But Jacob could have fished and brought in food, or maybe he was more of a gardener, or maybe it was Esau that brought the food in. Besides the flocks, that there was probably flocks, and that's where they got their food basically, except from Esau. So we're doing a lot of thinking about the things on the sidelines, reading between the lines and throwing in the culture. And verse 29, and Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And verse 30, and Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? So in other words, he's saying he's about to die. He's just so hungry, and but he may not be that hungry. He might not be getting ready to die. But you know how we sometimes just say things like, oh my gosh, I'm so famished, I'm just going to faint. And you're really not going to faint or whatever. But he could have been. He could have been just like hunting so hard and waited to the last moment. But then again, he may just be like exaggerating a little bit, as we do. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And 31, and Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? So I don't know if he was really at the point to die, because I don't know that Jacob would let that happen. Just kill your brother. You're such a good person. You're going to kill your brother, not feed him when he's about to die. But, so he could have just came in like, I just had a hard hunting trip, and I am so wasted. I just am so hungry and famished. My blood sugar's down, and I just need to get something. So we don't know, but, it could have been just like, picture him coming in the house and going, I am so tired, just feed me, I'm about to die, I'm so hungry. Or if it was literally, I am just at on my last leg, feed me. Anyway, and Esau said, behold, I'm at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? So if he's just being like, oh, like, yeah, right, if I'm about to this, it's not going to do me any good anyway, or is he like, oh gosh, I'm just so out of it. If I die, I'm not going to have it anyway. So I might, of course, I'll sell it to you to try to keep me alive. But who knows if it was really at that point or not. So anyway, verse 33, and Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. And we don't know if he, apparently it was a serious thing, because maybe they did some oath with the swearing. They may have did a serious thing, and he might have just been like, okay, I'm going to do it. And just not thinking, just doing things. Sometimes we just do something and go, that was really dumb. Why did we do that afterwards? You know what I mean? That could have been very well it. Or, you think about it, it would be really sad if he really was dying and his brother's like, hey, you're going to die. unless you sell me your birthright. And I'm a good guy. you know, you know, I'm a good guy, but I'm gonna let my brother die unless he sells me his birthright. That was his fault for not carrying some extra jerky in his pocket. You know, or was it this lighthearted banter going on, and and Esau was like, yeah, sure, what good is that going to do me anyway when I'm this? And did the oaths and did everything and didn't take any of it seriously. I don't know. But we do know that Jacob was supposed to be the birthright son anyway, and his mother had been told, "You're the he's going to be the birthright son." So even if you're just a reader and it might be new to you or to me, we can see right there that she knew he was going to be the birthright son, and she was told that. So none of this is probably going to be a surprise to her. It might be a surprise to them because she probably hasn't said, guess what? Your brother is going to be this. Um, but um, she was told. So, and she's going to keep it in, no doubt, in her head. Um, and Jacob in verse 33 said, swear to me this day, and he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. And then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. And they could mean that he didn't really care about it, and so he just got rid of it for pottage because he just got up and left. It wasn't like, oh, when you're really on your last leg, you think he'd be laid out on the table and just got some food, need to be spoon fed, like he's so out of it, and or just barely feeding himself, and then he's so worn out he's going to pass out on the couch. But it almost looks like he just said all that, ate a meal, and was fine. And when you're really on your last leg, that's not how it works. But that's what happened. He ate and drank and rose up and went his way. Isn't that interesting? And then he's having regret that he did that, or or he just didn't respect it and despised his birthright. He's the oldest. Maybe he didn't want the responsibility of the way you behave when you're the birthright child. The responsibility is the way you behave. How people looked at you as the birthright child for some reason, but he had that great relationship with his dad, so you think it would be like this bonding thing that, yeah, you're the birthright child. But maybe it wasn't, because later on we do see that he doesn't marry someone to carry on the religion, to carry on those traditions. And so maybe that's why he despised it, because he didn't respect those the religion, or the traditions. He didn't want to marry a person that would live them, and he maybe um, didn't like the traditions, didn't want to marry someone that would do the traditions. Maybe he liked a different personality and character, and maybe that's why he didn't want it, because he was like, no, because this is what's going to be expected of me. So so we can see how that works sometimes, with people. Um, they just have different paths, but God already knew. So thank you for being here. And if you have any thoughts, comment, please. And I hope to see you. Think about that sometimes. I bring up other things in the scriptures that I don't usually hear, because in the back of my mind, when I read the scriptures, I think these things, but I think sometimes people don't want to mention them because they feel like maybe it's disrespectful. You're thinking out of the box. But to me, it seems obvious. If I knew someone and people that I have, known, and things that happen, you think about things like that. You see it in movies. You might read it in books. It just isn't like you read it here and that's all that happened. There's always more to it that could have happened. And so anyway, we can see how much they're so much like us, and us like them in so many ways. Well, again, so We're in the Old Testament King James Version, and some people say that the Septuagint and the Apocrypha add to this. So you can go there and find out if there's something more in there that gives you more, or the Book of Abraham. There's a Book of Abraham, but who knows? So enjoy, and I will be doing chapter 26 next. Take care.